Hey guys, I'm taking the test right now. Let's see how it works out. I mean, this bike is definitely breathtaking if you ask me. I mean, the kind of adventure I'm looking for. I think if you talk about the Himalayan, this is the only bike that can give that kind of excitement, at least for me. Alright, the clutch is super soft, the brake is a little tight, I'm not sure why. Okay, it will do for now for the test ride bike. And let's see, MTC ABS, right? Let's see if I can set the ABS on and the MTC off. I mean, I have seen a lot of review. What they say is to turn off the MTC, you will need to hold the set button for a long time. It's not just that. When you're setting it off, you need to put the acceleration first and then click on the set button. That will speed up the things. So that's that. And now the MTC is off. I'm gonna leave ABS to off-road mode, and the quick shifter I'll keep it on. Let me see how the quick shifter works in the Adventure 390, because I have tested the quick shifter on the Duke 790. It was good, but not good enough for me, at least. And okay, the headlights are on. Considering this is adventure bike, that went pretty well. Not great, but well enough. I think the suspensions are a little softer. Yeah. I wish it was a little more stiffer. Since in India we are not gonna get the suspension, the adjustable suspension, this is kind of disappointing, because the kind of trail riding that I want to do, this bike cannot handle that much pressure there. I mean, the kind of pressure that you get off-road. Let's see. Let's take it into all the potholes and the speed breakers that we have in the street. I mean, for these smaller stuff, it's taking it pretty well. I'm not gonna say that it's taking it radically very well, but I mean, I'm not feeling any of those potholes or the speed breakers. In the off-road mode, I think it has something to do with the traction control being off and the ABS set to off-road mode. The kind of the torque is kind of punchier, if you ask me. I'm not sure. If I try the other mode, maybe I'll feel the difference. Wow, I don't feel these small potholes at all. Even the digging that's been done on the road. That's nice. The brake is quite okay. Actually, the suspension feels pretty well based on how much I'm using it. I don't think that road takes me to the main road, so I'm gonna cut this road over here and try to reach back to the main road. The reason for getting into these small alley roads, it will help to test the bike. Oh god, I'm stuck. It's not a good thing that I came here. That cleared at least one thing. Can't you see? Sorry.
Can't you see what? Okay, I'll give this much at least. The suspension is pretty nice. It's soaking up all these tiny cuts and bruises on the road, the tarmac snakes, and if you can even call that as a snake, it's almost like they have dug up the whole road. It's taking that pretty well, if you ask me. But I can feel a lot of heat between my legs. I mean, yeah, KTM claims that the radiator is much better compared to 390. Maybe they are true, but still it gets pretty much hot if you ask me. Wow! Please don't mind me going into some stupid roads where everything is blocked, because I'm not sure where I'm going myself. All I'm trying to do is find the bad roads, so my impression of the bike changes, because in my mind I thought the Himalayan does off-roading a lot better than the KTM 390 Adventure, because I rode the Himalayan to Leh Ladakh. I drove almost like 3,500 kilometers around about, starting from Chandigarh to Chandigarh. The way was through Kargil, then Leh, and then Manali, and back to Chandigarh. That trip was awesome, so awesome that I loved that trip, what I did. And the part of Himalayan which I didn't like was, it's not such a good bike when it comes to highway cruising. It has to do something with the tires they get, because the front tire is so slim. If you try to wipe your handles a little bit, it used to shake so bad that I got scared at certain point in time, because I thought I would get a tank slapper at that time, because it wobbled so bad. It was so bad, yes. And if you ask me, the Duke, the Adventure 390 is better if you are considering for the highway touring, because the machine is so nice. And I mean, it's the same engine from the Duke 390, right? So the posture of sitting, I mean, I feel very comfortable over here. The tank is so big. I like this tank way better than the Duke 790, because you can actually grip yourself very well on these tanks. Maybe I can get tank pads over here to make it more easy to grip. But from what we have already, I mean, what we have already on this bike, it's pretty nice. I feel very positive about this. The levers are pretty nice for the brake levers, and the foot pegs, they are pretty appropriate. I'm not gonna say that they are pretty awesome, because considering that most of us who ride this bike are not pros, we are not taking some kind of heist on the off-road jungle, but for what's worth, they're pretty decent. I mean, they get the job done, and they're pretty much reliable if you ask me. I have ridden RC390 before, not the Duke. The engine felt pretty nice, and the kind of feeling is a little different on the Adventure 390. I'm not sure. I cannot place my finger right on it. What's different? But I think it has something to do with the refinement the new BS6 version is getting. You will not feel that grunt on this motorcycle if you are looking for it. And what else?
The mirrors are pretty much the same, but there's a lot of vibration on this. I'm sitting on the idle, and if you can see, the mirrors are vibrating on its own. So I think they have some issue with the handlebar or the mirrors. I'm not sure what, but there is some kind of vibration over here. And the TFT screen, I think the placement is a little different if you compare it on the Duke, because the orientation is little towards you, so it makes it easier to read. That's a different thing I noticed here. They could have given a USB charger here, but they have given you the standard 12 volt socket. But the advantage of having this socket here is if you want to use some of the tools like the tire inflator, those things can be used over here. That's the reason why the ADV bikes get the 12 volt socket instead of just USB charger. I have seen plenty of people complaining about that, so I thought I could clarify that. At least the bike feels nice. I mean, it's torquey enough to get you rolling when you're doing the off-roading. I have ridden the dirt bikes. They have much more pull in the initial gears, like probably because the sprockets are kind of different on them, and the engine revs very high in the lower RPM. I could pull this bike easily in any cliff, which is ranging from the angle of 25 to 40. If you have any other inclination, I think you're gonna be in trouble, because this bike definitely can't pull you up on a more steeper inclines. You might have already seen in a lot of review logs where people have touched like 150, 170 top speed on this bike. It is easy to reach those kind of speed on this bike because the gearing is very tall, and you don't have to drive too high to get to those speeds. And the downside of it is, if you're buying this bike only for the sole purpose of doing some off-road adventure, you're not going to be happy about it. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't go for this bike. If you ask me, you can definitely try this bike, and once you get this bike, you may have to swap those stock sprocket systems. They get a standard of 1446, 14 in the front and 46 teeth in the back. Maybe you can switch up a few teeth at the back, or you can go down few teeth in the front. Maybe you can try 12 teeth sprocket on the front. That way you will get better RPM through the engine to the back wheel. That makes you get that means you will get more power output in the rear wheel. So that will definitely help you to increase the torque, given that you'll be sacrificing something on the top speed. So if you like reduce 2 teeth in the back, you'll definitely punch in like plenty of torque figure, but I think you're gonna lose at least like 20 to 30 kilometers on the top speed end. So you'll not be able to cross anything beyond 150. So you need to think about that, whether that kind of sacrifice is worth it, given that you'll be spending like 4 lakhs odd on this bike, and all you can cruise at is maximum of 150 kilometers per hour. But on the other hand, if you compare this bike to the Himalayan can't cruise beyond 120, so the maximum cruising speed is like 100, 110, and it's very good at off-roading. And if you want to beat Himalayan in its own domain, you have to sacrifice some of the top speed on this bike.
Alright, before I give my final assessment of this bike, there are few mythbusters I want to crack, and the first one is that the bike is very tall and it's difficult to ride. Well, any ADV bike which gets a stance like this are expected to be tall. That means you will get a better ground clearance and you can use this bike to tackle a very technical terrain. So considering that, if you are somebody who is taller than 5 foot 8 inch, you can easily ride this bike, given that you need some practice on this bike, because there aren't any bike in the market which had a stance like this before. So you might have seen the Impulse before, maybe have ridden the bike. I think that's the only bike which have the stance something similar to this. So that addresses my first question. And the second question is, can you do an off-road on this bike? Well, the bike is very purposefully built for the purpose of doing off-road and touring at the same time. So yes, you can do the soft off-road trails quite easily, and the bike has the hardware built very sophisticatedly to accommodate that. So now talking about what would you need on this bike to do a touring. Well, if you are using this bike as a touring machine, then you will definitely need a bar raiser, because that will help you to do a stand-up riding when you are traveling long distances, and this bar is little down and you might want to raise the bar. And the second obvious thing you want to do is upgrade the windshield, which gives you better wind protection. And the next thing, you will need some extra set of lights like the auxiliary lights, and the last would be you will need some luggage rack or a pannier on this bike, which will help you carry your luggage for the long travel and all that stuff. So for all that, you might need to spend another 10,000 more, considering that you are going for a basic package with all-weather luggage rack and all that. So considering that, this bike is pretty good deal if you ask me. And if you want to use this bike for off-road purpose, then you'll definitely have plenty of things to work with. For example, you'll have to get a bigger sprocket to help you get that initial pull on this bike, so that doing some technical trail will be a lot easier. Then you might want to change the springs in the front suspension into a stiffer one. That way you will get a better dampening effect when you are doing the hardcore off-road. The next thing which you'll definitely want to do is get a bigger bash plate, because the stock one is definitely not gonna help you if you're doing a hardcore off-roading. And the last item which you would want to do is get a spokes wheel, maybe the tubeless one or the tube one, considering the what kind of investment you want to do in this bike. With all things considered, you will have to spend at least like 50,000 and more to get these kind of changes done to your bike. So the better question is whether you want to buy this bike, considering whether the kind of investment that you're doing is going to fulfill the purpose that you're getting this bike for. If you like this video, do hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching again. See you next time. Ciao.